Tanjiro advances to the next stage of training and enters Muichiro's dojo. He observes Muichiro lecturing and sparring with a trainee, who pleads for mercy, saying he has endured enough. Muichiro responds coldly, asserting that the trainee would be devoured by demons with his lack of effort, and commands him to continue fighting. The trainee swings his wooden bokuto, only to be disarmed and knocked down by Muichiro, who remarks that he would have been killed 3 times over in an actual battle. Muichiro then turns to the other trainees, all visibly exhausted and weary, and instructs them to persist in motion even when hit. Both the trainer and trainees assume their stances, and the Miss Hashira orders them to keep up with him. In rapid succession, Muichiro swiftly defeats several trainees, even placing his wooden blade at one trainee's neck to exemplify his inability to keep up before striking his wrists. Again reminding them of their supposed death should they cease to move, Muichiro then turns his attention to Tanjiro at the entrance. Tanjiro is taken aback by Muichiro's abrupt change in behavior, which is uncharacteristically friendly. Muichiro greets Tanjiro warmly, expressing pleasure upon his arrival. The Hashira's Kasugai Crow Ginkgo wastes no time in chastising the trainees and wishing for their demise, much to their disappointment as they try to fend her off. Tanjiro bows to Muichiro and reveals his excitement to train with him. Muichiro reciprocates the sentiment and invites him to follow outside. Entering a shed in his yard, Muichiro announces their arrival to swordsmith Kozo Kanamori. Tanjiro is taken aback to see him once more, and Kozo admits he is relieved to see his recovery. When Tanjiro queries the reason for Kozo's presence, Muichiro answers that he was the one who invited him. Picking up a katana from a nearby rack, Muichiro requests Tanjiro to hold it. Tanjiro obliges and is astonished when Muichiro throws a paper aircraft at the blade, effortlessly cutting it cleanly in 2. Tanjiro marvels at the katana's sharpness, and Muichiro explains that Kozo will now stay perpetually with him, dedicated to maintaining his sword's combat readiness. He mentions that upon being informed of this decision, Kagaya had approved and even provided Kozo with a designated workspace to sharpen his swords. However, Muichiro expresses concern about Kagaya's tendency to prioritize the needs of his Hashira over his own health, even at the risk of his own well-being. He wishes that the core leader had been more mindful of his own health. During intense training later in the day, Muichiro instructs his adversary to retrieve his weapon again. Exhausted and nursing injuries, the trainee launches a frenzied attack only to be quickly overpowered by Muichiro. Tanjiro is left unsettled by the harsh encounter, and Muichiro criticizes the trainee for his emotional attack, likening it to a moth flying into a flame. He explains that even if one wins more times than they lose, a single defeat in battle can lead to death, thus every move must be honed for survival. Seeing the trainee's lack of response, Muichiro prematurely ends the training session and departs, and the other trainees quickly tend to their injured comrades. One trainee suggests approaching Muichiro to ease the pressure, but another asserts they may collapse before ever facing a demon. Tanjiro instead remarks that Muichiro might be struggling the most, as he is training them alone, a point that the others half-heartedly agree with. As the trainees rest outside, they express a desire for Muichiro to adjust his tone, hoping for some leniency. Tanjiro points out that Muichiro's approach has already become softer than it used to be, a fact that they find hard to accept. They then notice the Hashira exiting the building and heading off somewhere, a routine he follows every night. As the town quiets down, all the lights going out for the night, hundreds of crawling eyes marked 4 emerge from the darkness. They silently crawl along the wall, stalking the area around, all originating from the Biwa demon of the Infinity Castle. Muichiro runs up the stairs leading to a shrine where Sanemi and Obanai are sparring. Sanemi uses wind breathing, 4th form, rising dust storm to defend against Obanai's serpent breathing, 5th form, slithering serpent. Muichiro then requests to join them. Sanemi notices Muichiro's nightly visits and asks about his training. Muichiro explains that the usual training regimen is insufficient for him, to which Sanemi relates, noting that true Hashira training for him and Obanai involves sparring with each other. Muichiro points out the inequality of only them receiving effective training, but Obanai responds that they'll honor his decision to come to them, and they'll both engage him. Muichiro jokes about the unfairness of fighting them both, but still takes his position. Utilizing mist breathing, Muichiro swiftly rushes past Obanai's attack, catching him off guard, before maneuvering around Sanemi to strike him. Sanemi evades the mist Hashira's blade, launching himself away with a kick but narrowly missing his own attack. Muichiro then swings at him, but Sanemi uses his foot to block his sword. This leads to an intense fight, enveloping the courtyard in a cloud of debris and dust. Ginkgo encourages Muichiro from afar, prompting Sanemi to try and silence her praises with a targeted attack. Following the clash, which has left the ground full of craters, Sanemi reflects on the demanding sparring session. He concludes that training the core members during the day and engaging in combat training at night will sufficiently prepare them. Obanai queries Muichiro about his training, and Muichiro replies that Tanjiro has come to his place for rehabilitation. This surprises both Hashira, who dislike Tanjiro, and Obanai comments that he intends to be thorough in training him. Sanemi confidently asserts that Tanjiro, while stronger, is no match for Hashira, eager to prove it. Muichiro wishes Tanjiro luck and encourages him to do his best. During training the next day, Muichiro intentionally misses a slash aimed at a trainee's neck to illustrate that he would be dead. Noticing the stillness of the one behind him, Muichiro delivers a final strike. As he observes his already battered trainees, Muichiro concludes that they lack the tension for proper combat and orders the use of real swords for the next session, further worrying them and Tanjiro. The trainee, wielding one of Muichiro's highly sharpened blades, becomes increasingly anxious as the Hashira instructs him to take a stance. The following days pass with Tanjiro diligently honing his strength and endurance under Muichiro's guidance. As the two spar, Tanjiro's increased speed and smooth transitions in his movements impress the Hashira, who commends his progress and advises him on further improvements. Despite his progress, Tanjiro's improvement only seems to further irk the other trainees who have been training under Muichiro for longer yet show less progress. Despite their growing resentment, Tanjiro remains focused on his goal. As Tanjiro learns more about Muichiro's hobby for paper planes, he suggests a friendly competition to hopefully lighten the mood and break the tension. Muichiro agrees, and they set the terms of the challenge. The trainees, eager to have a reprieve from Muichiro's harsh training, cheer Tanjiro on as they hope for a chance to catch a break. The two embark on their paper plane challenge, and with each attempt, Muichiro's expertise becomes more apparent, leaving Tanjiro with one last shot. Though he puts his all into his final throw, Tanjiro ultimately fails, losing the competition. The trainees, now envious of the special attention Tanjiro has received, step up to challenge Muichiro themselves. A frenzy of paper folding and plane building ensues as everyone is determined to best the Hashira. As the planes take flight, a smile appears on Muichiro's face as he sees the joy the competition has brought the trainees. Tanjiro senses that the training session has allowed the team to bond further. As Tanjiro and Muichiro observe the trainees' planes soaring, Tanjiro reveals that Muzan's targeting of Nezuko for her sunlight immunity has indirectly benefited the Demon Slayer Corps, as Muzan's focus on her has led to reduced demon activity, giving them time to focus on their own preparations. Muichiro agrees, noting that it is ideal for them. Tanjiro expresses concern over being away from Nezuko but reconsiders, acknowledging that bringing her along could expose her to danger. Arriving at Mitsuri's mansion, Tanjiro is welcomed by her excitement. He gratefully bows, expressing his joy at seeing her. He queries if she keeps bees, having caught a sweet scent, and Mitsuri confirms it. She ushers Tanjiro inside, explaining that she will prepare black tea and buttered pancakes for him. Unacquainted with Western cuisine, Tanjiro wonders about butter and pancakes, but Mitsuri's excitement compels him to play along as she chants about pancakes.